As the hero's journey is such where it is going to challenge you just when you think you've got it right, just when you think everything is coming together. It's not. It's usually just the beginning. Now, we think of the hero's journey, we think, wow, it's kind of a romantic notion, the hero's journey, and the divine detour, it's like, okay. And as Tina said, it's Joseph Campbell. I mean, he coined that phrase because in his research, he started noticing all the great books, all the great stories were formulaic. There was a process to it. And our pop culture, our media, follow this process. So every movie that you go see, every 1-hour adventure show follows this formula because it truly is the hero's journey in all of our lives. And for most of us, when we go on the grand adventure, we think it's like, oh, it's volunteer, I got tickets, it's going to be great. But the hero's journey is never really like that. It's usually not something you're moving towards. It's something you're being pulled out of. It could be a divorce. It could be a health scare. It could be something that you never saw in a million years. But there it is. You're literally forced to go on this journey, to become, to find something about yourself that you never thought was possible. And on this journey, we are going to experience 5 different phases of this journey. And the first phase is the call to adventure. It's interesting, it's called that, but it might sound interesting at the beginning, but it's not. And so I want you to consider what adventure you're on right now, from a standpoint where you are truly being tested right now. This might be just the beginning, the call to it. You might be somewhere in the middle of it. Maybe you're coming out the other side. But the journey of the hero is that call to adventure. And from a unity standpoint, this is if God is in everything, right? God is in everything. So it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And for most people, oh, it sounds so spiritual, but the ego, no. Happening for me, really? Do you see what I'm dealing with? How is that happening for me? So we can have that existential crisis sometimes where it is just, no, I can't do this anymore. This is just ridiculous. Why is this happening to me? And typically when we're in that ego place, we've brought in the victim consciousness as well. And this is where we're really becoming tested. Because the next test that we'll actually come into is the crossing of the threshold, where there's no turning back. You're in it. You're done. You can sort of see where you were, but you know that from this point on, I surrender to it. I'm gonna do this, however this looks. And when I say it's formulaic, you can look at how many remember Neo in the Matrix? Perfect example. Normal life, everything is going according to his world, and then he's shaken up a little bit, and Morpheus is calling him, one of his heroes in the underground. Is it really real? And Morpheus and Trinity are calling him into an adventure. And he kind of, that's kind of hocus pocus. But then it actually happens. And now he's in it. And once you take the pill, red pill, that's it. There's no going back. And that's exactly what he did. Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, another great example of the hero's journey. Once you know, you can't go back. And that brings us to the third stage. And that is where we bring on the mentor. This is the teacher. This is the tests. And there's also the tormentors. So a lot of times we will go, oh, I hired a coach, or I'm in unity. Therefore, I have all the answers. Everything's great. everything's going to change now. I'm just going to follow these principles, follow these practices. Yep, it's going to go. And it doesn't go so well. Wait a minute. I thought it was supposed to be just like things are going to change. And it doesn't. In fact, it starts to get worse. Even though you have a mentor, even though you have people in your sphere that are saying, hey, you know what? Why don't you try this? Or why don't you do this? Or I know someone that did this. And you're like, that's great. And this is why people like Anthony Robbins, biggest coach on the planet, millions of people have gone through his program. And yet, only 10% have ever followed through of the entire programs that he does to a point where Anthony Robbins made me a multimillionaire. Anthony Robbins made me this huge success, allowed me to be all I could be. Only 10%, the best coach on the planet, has a 10% success rate. And so this is our ego. This is us getting in our own way, saying, I am so afraid of what's possible. God is just endowing us with all the gifts we possibly could have. But we also have free will. And a lot of times our free will is just getting in the way. And in time and space, there's really no hurry-worry. And that's the challenge. We think we have an infinite amount of time in this earth plane of existence. But we are called. Source is calling us every day, my friends, to step boldly into our power. But we're so